One of the hardest things to figure out when you're an eBay reseller is to figure out why I'm getting slow eBay sales. Well, in this video, we're going to be going over the 4 reasons why I think that you're getting slow eBay sales. And if you're new to the channel here, my name is Bo. I am a full-time eBay reseller for the past 2 years that generated over $178,000 in sales last year on eBay, selling pre-owned men and women's clothing. So it was on my heart for this past week, really wanting to get out the reasons why people experience slow eBay sales. And I went over this little lesson here that I think is going to help you bring a little more clarity to the reason why you might not be getting the sales that you may be wanting to get, and just going over some of the market dynamics of the reasons why what makes things in demand and why items sell for what they sell for. So let's jump right into it and not waste any more time. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section. We'll answer them as we go on through the lesson here. So one of the main reasons I wanted to do this was, you may be starting your eBay journey and you're getting excited and you're selling things maybe around your house and you're feeling good about it, but then you start running out of things to sell, and you want to start figuring out, well, what items should I be selling? And that's kind of that point in time where you really need to figure out, how can I source items on a consistent basis, and how can I keep my cost of goods down low so I'm able to make a decent margin and profit going forward. So let's dive into that. And one of the reasons, and if you're new to eBay, eBay rewards you by your consistency. And that is usually with all things in life. The more consistent you are in a particular topic or in your studies, that compound effect is very real. And the more consistent you are with your listings, meaning that you list every day and you're listing similar items that continue selling on the platform. So building a schedule will create your listing habit. If you just list when you feel like it, then eBay is going to give you sales when they feel like it. So eBay makes money when you list items, but not just any items that are in demand. eBay gets a final value fee. eBay gets maybe a promoted listings fee. So eBay is making money when you're listing items that are in demand. And by building a schedule is going to hold you accountable to your listing habit. And this is, when you're listing maybe every other day, then your sales are going to be inconsistent. If you look at your performance in your traffic tab, eBay is going to give you the amount of impressions according to how much you're listing that day. So getting a schedule and figuring out what time of day is going to be your eBay time. Maybe you have 8 kids and your only time to do eBay is from 3 in the morning to 6 in the morning. Or maybe you work all day in your 9 to 5, and once that's done, you work from 5 to 9 on your eBay business. So that's the beauty of eBay, is you get to choose when you want to do eBay. And building that schedule is going to help you create habits that eBay wants so you can be successful. The next thing would be sourcing, finding the same items that sell on a regular, consistent basis. So we all start out as everything sellers, and I highly suggest starting out and selling the things that are around your house that are not being used. That's going to help you get kind of familiar with how the listing process goes. It's going to help clear out a lot of stuff that you maybe not be using and start building up some money so you could take that money and go buy things that you do want to sell. Maybe you want to sell trading cards. Maybe you want to sell media. Maybe you want to sell clothing or electronics. You really need to figure out what is the item that you are proficient in and start to look into getting those items, since you are already have a knowledge base around that niche. So finding those same items is going to keep you active in those particular categories on eBay. So I've noticed that when I list hats and shoes, but I'm not listing them on a regular basis, then I'm not going to get consistent sales on a regular basis. And this can be an issue because if you're not regularly listing shoes and hats, then your shoes and hat sales will fall. And that's why it is important to be consistent in a certain category so you could get those impressions in that area. So if you're listing VCRs one day and shoes the next day and trading cards the next day, eBay's algorithm is going to be a little bit confused as to where to send the traffic to what items because you're not consistently active in that category on a daily basis. So if you're wanting to list shoes and hats, just make sure you're listing at least one or two a day in that category so your sales in those categories can remain consistent. So the next thing is listing everything. So listing everything will kill your store. That's just listing items without checking the demand. If you're just listing items that aren't really in demand and aren't sought after, but you're just listing them to meet your listing goal, that's going to lower your sales conversion rate and is going to really water down your store with a bunch of things that nobody wants. So nothing worse than listing items that aren't in demand, because no matter how cool you think it is, if there's no demand for it, then there's no market for that item, and therefore it will never sell. You may be paying 15 cents a month for an item that is not going to sell. So we want to be finding items that are in demand. The next one is going to be incorrect pricing. So understanding the market for the items you're listing. This is so important if you are a beginner reseller. You want to know that the items that you're spending time taking pictures, sourcing, listing on eBay, is there a demand for those items? Because if there is no demand and you're pricing them incorrectly, they will never sell. So maybe there is an item that you do find that is in demand, but your pricing is wrong. It will never sell because the market can tell you what the end buyer is willing to pay for your item. And this is why it is very important to get familiar with checking comps and looking up the items that you're selling and seeing how many are listed and how many are sold. You can do this by checking the solds in your eBay app or on the desktop, and you'll be able to calculate how much of a demand those items are. So really knowing the market for your items so you can price them correctly is key for your item to sell, but it's not the only thing that's going to contribute to increasing your sales. So don't grow an emotional attachment to your items. I know we may be passionate about video games or trading cards or media, and you just have to look at it from a business point of view. Is it making you money, or are you just basically in the storage business? So you want to be able to have a passion for the items that you're selling, but don't hold on to them. And, if you get a low ball offer, you need to remember, am I going to be taking some of the money all the time, or am I going to wait for all of the money some of the time? And that's something you need to decide going forward in your business. So one thing I wanted to get into was I created this free ebook here of my top 50 clothing brands to resell on eBay. Included in that is a current sell-through rates, so you're able to take the brands that I'm looking for on a consistent basis and be able to see if you can find them. And that sell-through rate is going to give you an idea on what those items, how fast the turnaround time is. So the sell-through rate is based off a 90-day total. So the closer that item is to 100% sell-through rate, you have a better chance of selling that item within 90 days. So you can find it linked in the comment section down below, and it is free, and you can download it on your phone, and hopefully it can be helpful for you as an eBay reseller if you are looking to niche down in clothing. So next thing, we're just going to be deep diving. What does a listing habit look like? So the importance of creating a set block schedule for your listings is going to keep you accountable so you hit that goal. If you're inactive on eBay, then it'll be hard for you to generate consistent sales. So just like when you go to a job or you're working as an independent contractor, they tell you a time to get there and to be done with work. It's no different with eBay. If you are serious about growing an eBay business, you really need to hold yourself accountable by setting a schedule so you can hit your listing goal. And maybe that's just 1 item a day, 5 items a day. It doesn't matter. You're still going to need to set some time aside to be able to knock out your photos, to knock out the listings, and to knock out the put away. And all that is going to take more and more time as you list more and more items. So what does that habit look like for you? Maybe you just want to do 1 item a day to start, and maybe you work 40 hours a week. Well, there's a way you can use your draft bank to be able to put time aside and still be active on eBay. So I'm talking about, like, if you work 40 hours a week and you just want to list 1 item a day, well, then spend your day off from your 9 to 5, knocking out 7 listings, drafting 6 of those listings, and then as you go out through your week and your work schedule, you can at least launch 1 item a day to keep eBay active. So some people list all 7 at once and then they go inactive for the rest of the week and they wonder why they're not getting consistent sales. So that applies for 5 items a day, 10 items a day. Really set yourself up so as you're doing a part-time job or your busy life schedule, having a draft bank is going to help you be active on eBay and consistently hitting your listing goal. So key there. Number 2 will be sourcing. So once you find a solid source for inventory, then you can see by having inventory that is replenishable will help keep buyers coming back for more. And I sell pre-owned clothing, but I sell similar items, similar brands, where people can follow my store and know that I'm going to list the same Nike apparel, the same American Eagle jeans, the same LL Bean button-up shirts. So these people like wearing those items, so therefore it's going to convert into followers of my store and have customers coming back for more. Nothing better than a repeat buyer if you're able to really deliver and over deliver on what you're selling. So the eBay algorithm will know you are consistent in certain categories by continuing to list similar like items. This just goes back to, if you're listing VCRs and tape recorders and shoes and hats and all these things on an everyday basis, maybe one day you list a VCR, the next day you list a hat. It's really going to be hard for you to sell those items consistently if you're not active in those categories. So what does your sourcing methods look like? Once you start niching down and figuring out what you want to sell, you need to figure out what is abundance in my area and how can I start, going to the Goodwill outlet, the Goodwill retail store, St. Vincent's. What types of ways are you going to source products? Some people post Facebook ads. Some people look on Craigslist for their items. So what are you going to be doing that's going to help you build up your inventory so you can continue to be active in those certain categories? This is key as you start growing your eBay store, finding multiple ways to source items. So listing everything. Ilana has a question. Yes, please ask a question anytime. I'm here to serve you guys. I'm here to help you, to really help shorten the learning curve when it comes to eBay. eBay can be, a massive project if you don't have computer skills, if you don't have photography skills, shipping skills. All this can be overwhelming when you're starting out on eBay. And I do this to be able to just take what I've learned, condense it down, and deliver it into digestible information that you can easily understand. So it's, that's my mission. That is my mission of the channel, is to just help bring value to beginner eBayers. So listing everything. So when first starting out, listing everything is a good idea. But as you continue to scale your business, you will find it easier to niche down and build systems around those products. When you list everything without checking demand, then it is a great way to kill your store and drop your sales conversion rate. So really paying attention on the items that you're buying, and before you're buying them, checking the demand on eBay and to see if there's even a market for it, because you may come across something that you really like but no one else likes, and now you're stuck with an item you just paid $10, $20, $30 for, and it's been sitting in your store for years. So get in that habit of checking the sales price and the demand before you make your purchase is going to be really detrimental to your success on eBay. So I'd flip that. Says, hello, just checking in since I got the notification. Thank you. I appreciate you coming in. If you have a question, shoot it in the comment section. And good to see you. Thank you. So, nothing wrong with being an everything seller. People do 6 figures and they crush it being an everything seller. But for me, to be an everything seller, I'm going to need to be spending a lot more time on shipping. I'm going to be spending a lot more time organizing inventory. And for me, as a single person working in my eBay store, I just really don't have the time to be able to go and ship all these items and do all these things that are necessary to run an everything store. But if that's something you want to do, you can be successful. That is the beauty of eBay, is that if you do like selling all that stuff and shipping out big bulky items and stuff like that, then do it, and that's awesome. But for me, I'm trying to do the most with the least. I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time to go out sourcing. I don't have a lot of time to be shipping out packages. So what I do is I just really, that's why I've niched down with clothing, and by doing that, I save a lot of time when it comes to sourcing and shipping and all of those things. Bobby loves to thrift. Hello from Northeast Ohio. Hope the weather is good there. It's warming up today here in Oregon, 40 degrees. Zachary says, did Old Navy open in 1994? I see that on the buttons on the inside. So Old Navy, is a really hit and miss brand for me. I don't pick it up, unless the jeans are less than $1 or in good condition. But as far as when they opened up, let's double check that. Let's do some on-demand research. 1994. So yeah, Old Navy, great if you can find vintage. Same with Faded Glory. If it's vintage, then it may be worth listing for $14, $18. But more modern day stuff like that, I would typically pass on. So yeah, good to see you, Zach. Hope you are doing well. Any way to date Old Navy jeans. So you're just going to want to take a picture of the care tag and compare it to other tags that are online. And, Google Lens is your friend. I use that very often to help determine whether items are vintage. Paper tag is a good indicator, and being made in USA is another good indicator to tell if your items are vintage. So if you do have a pair of vintage Old Navy jeans, then yeah, it's definitely worth spending a little bit of time researching, looking up, and pricing it according to whatever the market is telling you. So yeah, just, nothing wrong with listing everything. But for me, as a single person in my business, I really wanted to be able to do the most with the least. And, maybe you have a lot of time and, be an everything seller. That's great. So the next thing and the last thing we'll be touching on here is incorrect pricing. So maybe you have an item that is really awesome and it has a huge demand, but you're just pricing it just out of the market, and you're just really hurting your store by not pricing it correctly. So no matter how cool your item is, and no matter how much in demand it is, if you're pricing out what the buyer is willing to pay for it, and you're pricing it a little too high out of that range, no one's going to buy it. So just keep that in mind. That's why vintage and rare old dead stock items are in more demand and you can charge more, is because they're rare. And and it's hard to figure out market demand for those rare items. But for items for me like mall brands, that's easy. This is why I implement the price bucket strategy, to where I can just know, the Nike shirt gets priced at this default price. Carhartt pants get priced at this default price. It's because I can know by consistently selling these items on a regular basis, I know the median average market price for those items. But if you're selling more rare antique items, you're going to want to spend a little bit more time up front researching pricing, so you're not pricing them out of the market and continuing to just store items and they're not selling. So knowing the supply versus demand is the key when figuring out what to sell on eBay. If you're not checking comps of what items you're selling, then you will be guessing when it comes to pricing. This will ensure that your items never sell because you are outside the market demand. So if you're just starting out on eBay and you're just picking up a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're not checking the pricing, that is a great way to start killing your sales conversion rate, and that is going to be a good indicator to why your items are not selling. So maybe you want to go back and look at some of your older items that you've listed on eBay and just make sure that you're priced correctly. You may have a great item with great photos, a great title, but the pricing is wrong. And there's two reasons why mainly items don't sell: is title and is pricing. So maybe you have a great price, but there's a incorrect spelling on the title, and therefore no one's going to find it. If you spell Nike wrong, no one will find that misspelled Nike shirt that is so rare. So just really checking your title and checking your pricing are things that you can do right now in your business to be able to start getting sales. eBay tells you how and what they want to do when it comes to your titles. I'll just bring this up right now, is that your titles are meant to be done like this. It's really important to check it out. This is what eBay tells you, how you need to do your titles right here. Here, there we go. Okay. This right here, this is telling you eBay's point of view. Hey, this is how you do your titles. And you really need to get in the mindset of your end buyer. How is your buyer searching for the item that you're listing? And go from there. Start very broad and then followed with keywords. So, just simple things, electronics, you want to do the brand first, the attribute, the product type, and the model number. So really keying in how your titles are. Maybe you have good pricing, but maybe you need to go back and restructure some of your titles to be able to get them found by the buyer. And then the next thing is going to be your pricing. So just double check and going through some of your older listings, some of maybe your first listings that you've ever done on eBay, and just double checking, am I priced within the market demand? Because if you're not, you're going to be having that item forever and it may never sell, and you are paying a 15-cent final or reinsertion fee every month on that item until it sells. So this is why I implement a markdown strategy and a markdown system when I'm selling on eBay. Items that are older than 120 days get an automatic 25 to 30% discount. And then if they go from 150 days to 200 days, they're going to get a 30 to 40% discount. And they just continue to go through my markdown sale until they sell. So just really having some strategy to be able to mark down some of your older inventory, go check the titles, go check the pricing, and then come up with some kind of idea on how you can start selling some of those older items that do become stale in your inventory. So, if you want to know a little bit more about like some strategies and some tips that you could be doing right now in your eBay store to help generate more sales, you can check out this video here where you can start applying things like daily coupons, bulk buyer group coupons, and some things that you can do today to start unlocking the way of getting more sales on eBay. And a lot of this information is based on what eBay is telling us to do. So I hope you're all having a blessed day. Reach out in the comment section down below and just have a wonderful day. Love y'all and take care.